Hello, everyone, and we got some exciting news for you. First of all, a Bitcoin ETF update, because everyone loves ETFs. Well, maybe not everyone, but a lot of people. Grayscale and the SEC just met. So they met with the SEC to discuss a rule change to list the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. Yes, they discussed exactly what it would take for Grayscale Bitcoin Trust to be listed and maybe to even change one of the rules to get it listed. So we know that it's coming hopefully by the end of next month, but it probably could be next year. So it looks like the SEC isn't flat out rejecting the Grayscale ETF. And if they don't reject it, they're going to accept it. They just need to make a couple of changes. So executives from crypto asset manager Grayscale have met with Securities and Exchange Commission to discuss details of its flagship Bitcoin trust. There's a memo from November 20th, and they disclosed Grayscale CEO, ETF head of Grayscale, David Lavelle, along with Davis Polk law firm representatives, met with the SEC's Division of Trading and Markets. And of course, like the memo said, discussions concern NYSE Arca Inc.'s proposed rule change to list and trade shares of Grayscale Bitcoin Trust under NYSE Arca Rule 8.201. And Grayscale, that detailed it had entered a transfer agency and service agreement with BNY Mellon, according to a filing shared by Bloomberg ETF analyst. So the bank will act as an agent for its Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, facilitating the issuance and redemption of shares and maintaining shareholder accounts. So they're basically getting all their ducks in a row. And the thing is, like, I don't think they would do this if they didn't know that it was going to be accepted. So we're getting step by step closer to overall acceptance for the Bitcoin ETF. And this is great news because if Grayscale is that close, that means BlackRock, ARK, and everyone else is really that close. So any Bitcoin that Binance is going to sell off, I think all those companies will, bam, just lap it up. And this is why people are saying this was BlackRock's plan all along to make Binance sell their BTC so BlackRock and the cabal can actually control crypto. So Seifert added Grayscale's agreement with BNY Mellon was likely something that was always going to be required at some point and isn't an indicator that GBTC will soon be converted. So from Twitter, Scott pointed out that the transfer agent agreement with BNY Mellon and GBT's 8K today because he apparently has eyes everywhere. That said, this agreement is likely something that was always going to be required at some point. Says nothing about timing, but we are getting steps closer. Since it feels like everyone's asking, events of the last few days haven't changed my and Balchunas' odds. We can't go any higher than 90% by January 10th. That said, things are continuing to move forward in our view. So they are basically getting everything in a row. They're meeting with the SEC to lay down the final steps of the Bitcoin ETF. So I just don't really see how they're just going to go through all of this and then get rejected. Obviously, 90% is a very high percentage. I don't really think that 100% will ever be reached until they actually ensure that the ETF will actually be approved, which we're not seeing right now. So someone else said, in my opinion, most substantive aspect of the Grayscale SEC meeting today and yesterday and today's subsequent 8K filing is that GBTC conversion is being referred to as an uplisting. That doesn't indicate any issues with conversion to ETF, contrary to below. So basically, he was replying to say rumbling says SEC may not allow Grayscale to convert GBTC into ETF, could hold up timeline for launch if SEC wants to batch approve everyone. But it does not look like the meeting followed in those footsteps. So we might get a Grayscale approval first, and hopefully that comes before the end of the year. But January 10th is the day we're actually looking at. And the SEC could drag it out as long as possible because that's kind of the thing that the SEC does. So the other thing that I wanted to mention is that despite Binance's case, Binance.us is fully operational, will not exit the US, and will continue to function as ever because it is, and let me say to you, it is not a part of this Binance settlement. Binance itself is going to make a complete exit. And thanks to someone on my stream, I actually did more research into this, and they're going to pay more than the $4.3 billion. They're going to pay like $8 billion in total. So the $4.3 billion is forfeiture to the U.S. Department of Justice and the CFTC. But on top of that, they're going to have to pay $3.4 billion to FinCEN and $968 million for a total of something like $8.7 billion in overall fines, and they're going to exit the United States completely. And the key here is that he did plead guilty to violating sanctions and failing to maintain proper KYC AML program. So the thing is, they will also make a complete exit from the U.S. as part of its settlement with FinCEN and appoint a monitor for 5 years who will oversee the exchange's sanction and compliance program. And I think Janet Yellen made a huge deal about this because she wanted like her masters at BlackRock and all those other people to know that they will be gone. So this, I think, bolsters the conspiracy theorists that do actually think that BlackRock was the one that pushed Binance out, because it makes it more believable. And this is Janet Yellen's quote: "I want to make sure that folks really understand how unprecedented this monitorship is," a senior official told reporters on Tuesday. "We're not just going after egregious conduct, but we're also getting Binance out of the US entirely." He emphasized that point, that they were getting rid of Binance entirely. Why he would want to do that? I think like Binance generally has a pretty good reputation with users. They haven't really lost users any money. And CZ hasn't really commingled funds or basically lost tens of billions of dollars like Sam Bankman-Fried. Whenever people have tried to redeem out of Binance, they have been able to do so. But I think it looks like they're just clearing the way for like the big banks and stuff to actually take over crypto, or clearing the way for Coinbase and other US-based exchanges to really operate, because they can control those exchanges. He also clarified that the Binance.us is a separate exchange and will not be affected by this, because Binance.us is operating named for BAM Trading Services, and is that they're a registered money services business and therefore is not affected by Binance exit because they have the license to operate. So I don't know if Binance.us is going to get some of its fiat on-ramps back. They might, and I hope this clears it up, and that banks won't actually be afraid to give Binance.us an on-ramp anymore, because that would be great. But Binance.us, he said, will not be affected by Binance's exit. And obviously, they did the whole thing with Hamas and Islamic State of Iraq and Syria to actually trade, but CZ probably didn't know which transactions were these states. Obviously, a lot of money moves through Binance, and they can't catch everything. It's not like banks haven't been fined for this before, but Binance.com will entirely move outside the United States. Now, I don't actually think this affects Binance's own business operations outside like the $8 billion they said they would actually pay to the said organizations, because Binance already didn't really operate in the United States. So their excuse to hit Binance with this is by failing to comply with AML and sanctions obligations, Binance enabled a large range of illicit actors to transact freely on the platform. Although I don't really know if they have the on-chain data to back up how much illicit activity was actually on the platform. But despite that, Bitcoin is still holding very strong. I think it tried to break through the bottom at 36,000, but it basically failed to do so, and now we are back at 36.6K. And that just proves to me that really nothing can really dump Bitcoin that low at this point. And overall, this Binance thing, if it actually is true with BlackRock trying to get rid of Binance in the United States, overall, it might actually help hurry up the ETF, which would have a much more positive effect on the entire market than really Binance exiting the US. It's not like Binance collapsed and fell apart. It looks like financially they're still doing okay. CZ himself just got fined $50 million, and he's going to be exiting Binance for at least 3 years with that monitor. And after that, he might actually come back into the market, come back into Binance and all that stuff. But overall, I think Binance, the exchange itself, is actually going to be okay. It's not falling apart. And if it can actually spur on some of these ETFs, I think that might actually be positive for crypto. Because at 36,600, this is not like a severe dip. And even the bullish sentiment of Binance might be in trouble. It's not enough to crash the market. So I think the market is very, very much ripe for even more of a rebound, even more of a bull run in the coming months. And we obviously have the ETFs. We obviously have the halving fueling all this stuff in there. And if Binance does actually sell off its crypto, I'm sure, at least for its Bitcoin, which controls the rest of the market, BlackRock, Fidelity, ARK Invest, Franklin Templeton, and others will be eager to lap it up as these ETFs come forward. So I don't think crypto, the bull run, is really all that stoppable right now. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe, hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.